All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Paint, Paper and Palettes podcast. I'm
Hello.
Caitlin and I'm here again with Izzy. And today we're going to do it quite a little bit different because we are going to be working on some art too. We thought it might be a fun idea, like if we make it some sort of creative thing that we are working on some stuff, and maybe you guys, the listener, can join us and grab your own sketchbook and do some painting. We'll see how it works out. I'll be working on some ceramics. I'll be carving some watercolor pens. I'm not good at
Ooh.
multitasking, so I need to do something very, very easy if I still want to be able to talk.
Simple
Izzy,
tasks.
what will you be working on today?
Well, same thing as you, simple tasks. I just announced today that I will be releasing a basics
Ooh.
palette, 12 beautiful colors, and I'm making a mixing chart. So it's quite simple and easy, but it's nice to, have a little chat, swatch and paint, and just
Yeah,
enjoy.
always find like the swatching process of the paints very relaxing, but also I never
Oh,
have
it's so
the
relaxing.
patience for it. I should do it like more often. I actually
What do you mean patience? What do you need patience for? Like you want to swatch all
no,
your
I just
paints?
want to get like right into the painting. Whenever I have a new palette, I just want to get going and do like the fun, the creative stuff, and then
Oh
mixing
yeah.
all the different colors is just like I don't want to do it. I just want to make a fun little cute doggo.
Yes. Yeah, but you can also swatch while painting doggos. No, painting doggos while
Yeah.
swatch.
Yeah,
One or
yeah.
the other.
I do make like the little color swatches whenever I'm working on something. I just have one page with like swatches and one page of the painting that I'm doing. That works pretty well for
Mm,
me, I think.
it's fun. It's
And
definitely fun.
also,
I encourage everyone to do that.
also talking about wanting to swatch all the paints that we have. How many paints do you have?
Oh, paints. I think not. Well, I wish I had more.
Do you? Because I don't wish I got more. Like I do want to try more paints.
As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, if you can see, I have a lot of pigments. But I actually do not own a lot of paint, simply because I always strive to use my own paints, because in my mind it's like, oh, if you use your own paints for your own artwork, then it's also promotion for your
Mm-hmm.
paints, blah, blah, blah. But somehow I always end up forgetting myself, pouring paints for myself, and I always end up with like pans with just one layer, and that is my color, and that is it. So I have that, and I have some. Uh, what are they? Holbein tubes. Um, I've got I've got a lot of paints from other paint
Mm-hmm.
makers. It's that little stack over there. A lot of shimmers from Claire,
Yeah. Ooh.
which is funny because ooh, I'm not a shimmer paint person. I only use it in details, but I don't know. Somehow her swatches are like drawing me. I need it. I need them all. So yeah, I've got a lot of paints from her, but that is actually it.
But that's like
I don't. I don't have a lot
but
of a lot
but
of
it is
paints.
like quite a lot. If I look at like the artists in my family that are older than me,
Is
if I
it?
look at my mother, for example, she just had like the Winsor and Newton art like little palette of 12 colors, and then she bought one color that she used a lot, and she had like 13 colors. And I mean that's enough
Hmm.
to paint with, and that's also
Maybe I say I don't have a lot of colors, but maybe, and that's the topic of today, maybe that is a hoarder mindset.
yeah, and because we are going to talk about hoarding art supplies, and if I look at myself for
Yes.
watercolors, I started out with the little palette that my mother had that she gave to me. Uh, I actually gave it back to her because I never used it anymore. But like,
See?
I started with that palette, and if I look at my watercolors, just my watercolors right now, I have a full set of Schminke watercolors. I have a full set of Holbein watercolors. I have a full set of Sennelier watercolors. I have
You
yeah.
have?
It was
Oh, I love
actually
them.
free because I spent so much
What?
money on the art store that I could get it for free.
Huh?
Oh, they have like
Get it.
like a stempelkaart. How do you say it? They have like a point system that if you buy,
Oh, a point
so that
system.
if
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
buy stuff, you get like points, and then after a certain amount of points being spent, you get like something for free. And I spent so much
Yeah.
money that I could get a whole Sennelier watercolor set for free.
That's amazing. Talking about hoarding, how much money did you spend to get a whole collection of
Uh,
Sennelier
that's
paints?
like I
My
think it was
god.
like 1,300 euros. I do have to say this was during my art school, and I already started that
Oh
point
yeah.
system before, and I had like I just went to the art store a lot more than I needed to, but also whenever I had like a project that I needed to do for art school, I had to buy a whole bunch of art supplies.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm not done. Like I have a Sennelier set. I have a Isero handmade watercolor set. I have a Agallo handmade watercolor set. I have two sets from you. I have another watercolor set that I recently gave away to a friend who wanted to try using watercolors. And that's not all of it. I look here, I see Rembrandt, I see Magello, I see Golden, I see M. Graham. I don't need this. You just need one set. Why do I have 15?
Because I know why. I know why. And this is an artist's thing. If you're an artist yourself, you will recognize this. Okay. Because every, for example, every yellow, simple, earth yellow, yellow
Mm-hmm.
ochre, we have this idea that every brand has a different type or a slightly different color of a certain color, like
Mm-hmm.
yellow ochre. So we have to have all the brands because we like to compare them with all the other brands we have. And then, oh, this is maybe a bit more warm. This is maybe a bit more cool. Oh, how interesting. Plus, we cannot just buy one color, right? You don't just buy one color of a certain brand. We want the whole set. That's the thing. We want
Yeah,
the
you
whole
just
set.
buy
At
three
least
colors
that,
at a
of
time,
course.
and then the next time you go in the art store, you get another three colors, and then
3 colors. And that's the thing. Whenever I'm in the art shop looking at paints, you see all the individual half pens or tubes, right? And then you start picking your colors, and then suddenly you are calculating the price, and then you're like, damn, that's a lot of
you
money.
calculate while you're
Maybe I
shopping. I
just
just like get confused at the checkout.
well I that's that's also true, but like I do try. And here's the thing, I go to the art supply shop with a set budget. So while I'm shopping, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna get 5 of these colors, it would be, I don't know, I'm just saying something, 100
Mm-hmm.
euros. But then you see the set, right? And then you see 12 colors for 120 euros instead of the 5 you just got. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna spend a little bit more money, so I will have more colors.
Yeah, and then you just end up with like a lot. And I do want to say that I think how many art supplies a lot of artists are buying is a bad habit. I think for me it was a very bad habit. Um, like if you're
Why?
not using the supplies, I have so many watercolors. I think if I don't buy watercolors, I can use these watercolors for the next 20 years and not run out.
That is true. That
Also,
is
it's a
true.
bad habit because I don't have money. Maybe if I had money, maybe if I had money, I wouldn't be like so sad about all the money that I spent on paints that I haven't used yet.
And here I am, like, why is that a bad habit? What do you mean? What's a bad? Why is that a bad
Like
habit?
I have a crappy bed that I got for free, and it hurts my back. Like if I just save my money and buy a bed instead of like I can't lay. Maybe I can make a bed out of all the watercolors I have. I have so many, but you know these metal tins. They don't like. They don't lay that well.
No, I don't think so. But they make us so happy. I don't know why. They make us just so incredibly happy that we're willing to, in your case, sleep on a crappy bed. And it's not only paints, right? It's every kind of art supply. Paper. Oh, don't get me started about paper, because you have a shitload of
I have
sketchbooks.
too many sketchbooks. I saw so yes I was this weekend at a market, and there were a lot of artists there, and there was one artist who sold handmade sketchbooks, and I was looking at those sketchbooks, and I was
Ooh.
like, ooh, handmade sketchbooks, and I get to support another artist. But
Ooh.
I didn't buy the sketchbook because
You
I
didn't?
counted my unfinished sketchbooks, and I have 56.
Oh,
56
50? 50?
unfinished sketchbooks. I'm pretty sure that if I draw a lot, I can finish a sketchbook within a month. And since I'm going to art school, I might even finish more than that. But even if I finish a sketchbook in a month, which is quite like a lot of work,
That's a
I
lot of work.
still need to like 4 or 5 years until I finish all those sketchbooks. I can buy no I
Can't
can just
you?
buy, and that's when I'm only working in sketchbooks, and I'm actually planning to work more digital and working more on like loose pieces of paper because I want to sell my originals. So I think I can work in my sketchbooks for the next 10 years not buying sketchbooks, and that will be fine. So
Okay, but be honest. Uh, how difficult would it be for you not to buy a sketchbook? Because I remember last podcast we recorded, you showed me this gorgeous, gorgeous new Talent sketchbook that you
yeah.
bought. So, how hard is it going to be?
I think it's getting easier and easier as I see my pile of art supplies growing and feel bad about myself.
But why? Going into the mindset of things, we buy all these art supplies because they make us happy. So why are we also simultaneously feeling bad or guilty that we have so many supplies?
Uh,
Why is that? Why is that for
so for
you?
me, it's mostly the not using the supplies that like bothers me, because I have beautiful supplies, and
Mm.
I think that if you're not
Mm.
using your supplies, that's like a waste of the supplies,
A
and
waste.
I'd
Yeah.
rather give them to someone else than not being able to use them at all.
Oh yeah.
And I think I just have like when I was at art school, went through this period of like being really depressed, and I had to make art. And the only thing that brought me joy was buying new art supplies. So what I did was like
Mm-hmm.
I told myself, okay, you have to finish this thing, but you can buy art supplies first and then you'll finish it. Like then you have new art supplies that you can use to finish the thing. And for me that was like my uh yeah, that was like
Excuse.
an excuse telling
Yeah.
myself like, ooh, new sketchbook, like let's start this new sketchbook. My old sketchbook has like ugly drawings in it, I don't want to draw in it anymore.
Oh my god. It's like I'm hearing myself.
Yeah.
This sketchbook is ruined because it has one ugly
Yeah,
sketch.
and it's like because I want to improve as an artist, and I want to be a professional artist, I want to sell my prints and work and stuff. I
Of
need to be
course.
drawing, and then if I'm not in the mindset I'm drawing, I'm like, okay, even if I'm not going to use all the art supplies, if I buy new art supplies and therefore I will uh, like start drawing again, then it's worth it. But
I
then you
get
have
that.
like these art supplies laying at home, and if you're not using them and you start like buying more art supplies, I don't know, maybe like very famous and rich artists do this all the time. They just like buy a new set of art supplies every time they make a painting.
Ah, I bet they would because it's fresh and that equals quality or something. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I own quite a lot of vintage pigments, which a lot of them sat in a glass jar in someone's super moist
Hmm.
basement. Um, and they work perfectly fine. They are absolutely amazing, even after 50, 60,
Hmm.
70 years. So yeah, you don't really need new stuff to be good at your art or
Hmm.
anything. But at the same time, it gives us all like this super dopamine rush every time we buy new art supplies.
Hmm.
Um,
I do have some paint tubes
which
that get like really dry after
yeah,
not using
tubes.
them for like 5 years.
Yeah, tubes sucks. Yeah, sorry. I have a lot of tubes too, but when it comes with when it comes uh to age, tubes really
Hmm.
suck. Especially because if you have watercolors, they're a lot different than uh, pan watercolors. Um, most tubes have a lot of filler and additives to keep it
Hmm.
creamy, but over time pigment and binder and fillers will separate, and then sometimes when you squeeze out paints from a tube you first get this
Yeah.
oily stuff. Yeah, that's just stuff.
Yeah.
So tu- say it with me, guys, tubes suck, but we still buy them because they are pretty
Yeah, I
colors.
was talking with this about this to a friend recently. She had like a set of old Winsor and Newton gouache, and now she wanted to pick up gouache, but every time she would open a tube, like a lot of stuff would come out, like the binder that separates, and she's just like,
Yeah,
my colors look like really watery and like glossy, and what do I do? And I
yeah,
was like, well, probably if you go back further in the tube it gets a little better, but still like the binder that comes out is not in your paint anymore, so your paint kind of gets messed up. Like,
yeah.
probably the best way to save your tube is to put everything in a jar instead, but then you have to think about it not like not
Drying
drying
out.
out, but also if you keep it like air locked, you have to think about it not getting mold, because gouache can actually get moldy if you get it
Mm-hmm.
outside of the tube and into like a little container.
Into
Yeah.
like a pan. Yeah, that's true. It can get moldy real quickly, and I think it's because the thing that makes squash opaque and matte is the chalk.
Yeah.
And somehow, every time there is chalk in a paint, it like chalk attracts
Mm-hmm.
moisture and stays wet longer, which is a perfect area and surface for bacteria and mold to grow. And it's really
Yeah,
disgusting.
so that's like really rough, and we've been talking about like she wants to get new gouache and which gouache she wants to buy now, so she's probably not going to buy the Winsor and Newton ones again. I actually have this problem a lot with my old Winsor and Newton gouache.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know how old it is because I think I also got it from my mom, so those tubes are probably like.
Oh, okay. Because I also had Winsor and Newton gouache. I
Mhm.
sold them in my recent talking about hoarding. Because I hoarded a lot of stuff. My last big studio clean out, which if you follow me on Instagram, you will see that I do a lot of clean outs because I'm a chaotic person. So while I'm working on like a palette, my whole studio will get will be super messy at the end of it, but I cannot start a new palette unless I do a super big clean
Mm-hmm.
out somehow. And I always find stuff. So last time I found old paints, gouaches, pencils, all the goodies, art supplies that I maybe only used once. Then I didn't like them, and then they were just sitting there collecting dust in my in my art supply graveyard, how I call it. Because it's where pretty art supplies go
Yeah.
die. And sadly, I also found my dad's old watercolor, no, not watercolors,
Mm-hmm.
oil paints from Rembrandt, which is super nice
Yeah.
quality. I even found this huge Winsor Newton tube of white oil paints, like this really big tube. And I was like, you know what? I love it that they're for my father all these years ago, and I have great memories about them, and I am happy that uh, that these were passed to me. But I don't do
Yeah.
anything with them, nothing. And I felt like they should go to someone who actually enjoys them, because I don't enjoy oil paints. I tried, but I simply, I don't know. I do not have the
Mm-hmm.
patience for it, I think. So I sold them. At first, I was like, "Yay, I sold them," and I was very happy because you get an extra money that I could use, because I had a huge bill that I forgot about from our delivery
Yeah.
service. I got a huge bill of that, so I could pay that bill. But at the same time, I sold art supplies that was for my father, so I was like, a little bit sad
Mm-hmm.
also. But I'm happy that they went to a better place.
Yeah.
But that's also the thing about hoarding, is that you get emotionally attached to art
Mm-hmm.
supplies.
I actually also have a collection of oil paints that I've used once, and they're because I had
Well, if you want to sell them, I
all
know
right.
someone.
Because I had to do like an art thing for school, and I told you about the oil paints nightmare that was my middle school, where all the oil paints didn't have the
Yes.
caps, and like colors would
Oh,
be missing and leaking, and the whole box was a mess.
that was a very sad and painful story.
And that time, like my mom bought me these pretty oil paints and a really nice bag, so I could do the project with my own clean oil paints. But after that, I was like,
Lovely.
yeah, I don't want to use oil paints anymore. But it's like a lovely collection of. It's luckily not that big. It's just like the basic tubes and some basic mediums that you use with oil paints. But it's still
Yeah.
like it's a shame. It's been there since 2016.
Yeah, but exactly, that's what, and especially with art and school, and it just, it's you are like required to own some type of art supply. um you have to buy them yourself, which is fine because you need them for a project or something, and that is fine. But why don't art schools or schools in general just have these for their students,
Mm-hmm.
like good art supplies? Why don't schools have the budget, or someone, at least the art
Mm-hmm.
teacher, who is like, hey, we need better stuff? And I know maybe it all depends on where you live. I know that in America, teachers are super underpaid. And some teachers even buy supplies themselves because the school won't fund them. Um, but like, if you are an actual art school, shouldn't you have good
So
stuff?
when I applied for our school, they actually said like, "Oh, hey, by the way,
By the
just keep in
way,
mind, like you don't have to buy books for art school, but you have to buy supplies. Keep in mind that you'll be spending 100 to 120 euros each month on art supplies." Yeah.
They said that?
Well, but they also said like you need, because it was an animation illustration course. They also were talking about
Yeah.
you need to have a good laptop for your animation, and you need to.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's
of
like,
course. Yeah,
but
yeah. With this program, and you have to buy it yourself, the
yeah.
license and
So
stuff.
that's of course also a huge part of. But I think I did spend like between 60 and 80 euros each month, which is still a lot to spend on art supplies.
Right? Me too. And I remember that uh, I studied in
Mm-hmm.
Utrecht, and we had one big known art supply store in
Yeah.
Utrecht. And everybody went there, not only my school, but also the art university, the HKU, actually went there too. So that store made huge money of all those students. And you'd think that because they have ties with the school, that students get some kind of
Mm-hmm.
discount, but they didn't.
Actually, they do right now.
It was so
I know the story.
expensive.
I know the story you're
Really?
talking about, and students get a 10% discount now. Yes,
Swag.
but that's like it's a 10% discount, but still, Swag is like the most expensive art store in the Netherlands. So even if you get a 10%
Yeah.
discount, I don't think you're saving any money.
And I think they are one of the most expensive art stores
Yeah,
in the Netherlands because we have two major art schools in the city.
yeah, and they're just like, oh, we can charge this much because students will be buying here anyways.
We need it anyway because if you don't use the supplies, we will fail
Mm-hmm.
you.
And so right
Ugh.
now I'm keeping my oil paints just for like next year because I'm going back to art school, and
Yeah,
I'm just
that's so
keeping
smart.
them just in case I need to use them.
Yeah.
I also got rid of all my acrylic paints. I gave them to someone that I knew was going to use them because I hate acrylic paints and I hate the idea of painting with plastic. So I'm going to try my very best to convince the art school that I don't want to use acrylic paint, which is going to be very hard because they use acrylic paints for a lot of the projects.
But wait,
Mm-hmm.
hold on. So I'm thinking you're gonna use gouache instead
Yeah,
of
that's my
acrylics?
plan.
But why would they protest that? Isn't it about the results
Well,
or
if
your?
you, for example, there was one project in my last art school where we had to do a mural painting, and
Oh yeah,
you
you
cannot
cannot
do
do that
that
with
with
gouache.
gouache. That's not going to be an option.
No, that's gonna be hard. Oh, okay, yeah, I get that.
But you know, I've
Shit.
done a couple of murals. Maybe there is a way I can convince them. Like, hey, I'm showing you all these different murals I made in the past. Can't I just do like something else or something? But maybe I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna work. But I don't want to buy new acrylic paints. I think I'm just going to see if I can. If I have to use it, I'm going to see if I can, like, use the acrylic wash of some other students and maybe trade them for some of my
Yeah,
million
that.
watercolors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first I was like, "You're gonna do what?" And then I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that
You know,
makes
I'm
sense."
not gonna give your watercolors away. I'm gonna keep your watercolors.
Yeah, I was afraid already. No joke.
I'd rather give away my Holbein watercolors and keep yours.
I actually love Holbein watercolors.
I don't know. I think they're like really smooth, and I like it when they're unpredictable.
I like it. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. That's the whole point of watercolors, to be unpredictable. Everybody is struggling with watercolors because they're unpredictable, and here's Caitlin.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
great.
it.
I like mistakes. I
It
like
is great.
the blotchy, weird patches in my work. It's great.
That is actually what I really like about your work is that you can see the actual, how do you say, the 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 textures that watercolor is
Mm-hmm.
known for. The backgrounds, the people say blotchiness, the blooming, the cauliflower effect. I think it's beautiful. I absolutely
And
think it's
it's
beautiful too.
it's funny because I
Beautiful.
used to hate that, and then I would like work at my I would
Oh, I
work at
love
my
it.
parents' place and I would try to keep it like very smooth, and then on accident I would get like a bloom or a blotch or something,
A
and then my
bloom.
mother would be like, "Oh, I love that," and I would be like, "No, I
Me
hate it."
too. Embrace the bloom, people.
But
Embrace
now
the
I feel
bloom.
like I'm so much happier when I'm just like embracing all the mistakes and say, "Yeah, I did it on purpose. Don't worry about it."
That's the beauty, right? You can just say it's on
Yeah, and then
purpose.
it
Because watercolor is supposed to be
and then it makes
unpredictable.
me a lot happier painting when I know I can't change the fact that it's gonna be uh, imperfect. And life is imperfect. We are, as humans, are not perfect, and we should just like try to see the beauty in that.
Oh, I know a lot of no. I know certain people who would definitely disagree with you because they think they're perfect.
and they but
They
they
are
also
perfect.
expect you to be perfect, or
Oh, I hate
expect you
that.
to try and be perfect, I guess. They don't they
Yeah,
know
I
you are
guess.
not perfect, but they think it's just you not trying to be perfect, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But also, I'm like, whatever someone thinks of me, I don't really care. I really don't care. I care on a certain level, but like if someone says, "Oh, that is not perfect," blah blah blah, I'm like, "Yeah, but it's perfect in my eyes." So
hmm
shut up. It is intended this way.
About the topic that we are talking about today, the hoarding of art supplies. How much
Yes.
of a role do you think social media has in this? Because it's like I watch.
Is that like a, is that a
Well,
serious
I
question?
think like I watch a lot of YouTube, and I noticed that art supply unboxing videos, art supply hauls are huge. Like there are people that just have
Yeah,
YouTube.
they have been used. They have been used for
There are people that
years.
are just having YouTube channels and they're just unboxing and swatching art supplies every month, and there is no.
Yes, or those art subscription art subscription box
Oh yeah,
unboxing. Wow.
people that just do like the. I have my art supply subscription and I do a painting with like whatever I get, but then they've been doing it for years, and that's a lot of art
Yeah,
supplies. Art.
that is a lot of art, and I also feel like from art supply subscription boxes. Jesus, such a name. I also think that you get okay, wait, disclaimer. I'm not talking about the art subscription boxes that I know some small
hmm
businesses are doing. I'm also part of one of those art subscription boxes. I'm not talking about those, but I'm like talking about the big ones, Art Snack and those kinds of big companies with big
hmm
brands. So you get a little package, you don't know what it is, and most of them have every theme every month. They have a
Yeah.
theme, right? So, for example, around Halloween, you will get moody colors, black paper, fine liners, maybe a color here or there, and then you have a project along with the theme that you can paint along or draw along
hmm
or whatever. But after that, what then? Then you have from a certain brand, you have maybe one piece of black paper or two, and then you have like two pens or a brush pen that you don't even like. You get purple, orange, and green colors in maybe either paints or how do you say those markers, and that is that. And then next month you get your
hmm
Christmas box, and you get like this huge supply of a huge collection of art supplies, but they are all random
Yeah.
stuff,
And
you
of course,
know.
for me, that's like fine because I'm mixed media and there is a way I will find to use it. But you know what's worse? What if you get like two colors of a supply that you do like?
Oh,
Then
then
you
you
want
want
to
to
buy
buy
the whole
everything.
thing. That's how it goes.
that is that's how, and that is also the trick, right? I mean, these art subscription box companies, they have deals with these brands, which is fine. I mean, it's all part of marketing, and it's it's nice because it makes other artists, they can discover maybe new media or new brands that they never heard about, which is totally fine. But it also works very, very well for all
Yeah.
those brands.
And also,
Because if you get,
you also have the problem
yes,
that if
go.
you like get random art supplies and you already own a lot of art supplies, there's like a big chance you get doubles of something you already have.
Oh, I
And
hate that.
maybe it's something you don't really like, and now you have two of those that you don't really like, and then you're not using it.
Yeah.
And like if they're pens, they will dry out, and it's just like gathering dust in your art supply graveyard.
Yes, art supply graveyard.
Yeah.
Word of the day.
I also have an art supply graveyard. It's
I think everyone has an art supply graveyard, or at least everyone should have an art supply
and
graveyard.
I do give art supplies away to other artists. I know a lot of artists, and every time somebody says like, "Ooh, I think I want to try this. I'm gonna buy some paints," and I'm like, "No, wait, don't buy paints. Wait, you can take this from me, or you can buy it for like a discount from me. I've used it once. Please take this."
But that's actually so sweet of you, because you're helping other people discovering, for example, paints, as an example, or a certain art supply, and then one, it gets used with the potential of being loved and used until it's finished, or two, this person might be inspired by your act, and if this person also doesn't like it or doesn't use it as much as they want, the chance is big that they will do the
give
same.
it away again.
They will also find a friend and give it away.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope that. And they often feel like, I did this with my acrylic wash. I told to you that I bought the acrylic wash and used it once, and I was like, I'm afraid to open the tubes because I'm not going to use it that often and they're going to dry out. So I gave my acrylic wash away, and that person was like, "Oh no, you're giving me such a big set of paints. I don't want to take this. This is too much." And I was like, "No, I'm not using it." And I could sell it, I guess. I guess I could sell it.
But you don't want to.
Yeah, I just want to. And they were like, they wanted to try out acrylic wash and they were going to buy a set. And I'm like, okay, I have a set. I'm not using it. I'm going to give it to you so you can try it. And if you use it, great.
Yeah, please use it. Please.
And then if you're not using it, like we know a lot of artists. We both did art school. Probably you can give it away again. I hope so.
Yeah, I really hope so. Because one, it's the green choice. And it's also like, I don't know if you have that, but for certain brands, I feel like, it sounds so weird. I want to say I feel a connection, but that's not really true. With certain brands, I have a certain feeling with them. What they do, what they stand for, what their message is. Certain brands I just love. And if you're not using it, I have this feeling of somehow it's disrespecting it's disrespecting the art supply itself. Like, you're not using it, but you love the brand so much, but somehow you cannot love this product, you know? And I feel like if you were giving it away,
you're giving it a second life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and maybe someone else will respect it.
Yeah, I have that with like the handmade watercolors that I have. If I'm not using my handmade watercolors, I feel like, oh, but there was someone who put their love and soul into making this watercolor, and now I'm not using it, and I feel sad about it.
Now you're not using it, and we're a little bit sad about it. Yeah, me too. It's like someone put all their love and care in it, and then it's just like here collecting dust.
And I also so for my Agallo watercolors, they're also handmade. And I told you, like, I actually lost my watercolor tin. I didn't know where it was. I found it back last week. It was like under a pile of scarves. Like a very random place.
It's very
But
logical. It needs to be. You need to keep
and
warm.
in my head, I was like, this was my favorite watercolor set, and I really want to like keep using that set. But now I lost it, and I was like,
Yeah.
not. I wasn't able to find it for like 3 weeks, and I was really like, oh, but that's my favorite set, and I want to buy.
Were you sad? Were you
Yeah,
sad?
I want to buy a new set from that brand. Like I really
Mm-hmm.
want to keep continuing to use their watercolors because I love them so much. But also I have like a million other watercolors. Am I going to use like buy the brand
See,
that I love the most?
it's because you have a certain feeling to that
Yeah.
brand,
I'm
and it's a really weird thing. And I don't know. Going back to your question about social media, I don't
mhm.
know if it's because of social media that you have this feeling towards them. I don't know.
I actually don't know
For
about
me, I don't
the
know.
Agello watercolors. I don't actually know where I found them. I know I follow them on Instagram. Maybe there's an artist I follow that uses them, but I actually don't know how I found out about them. Like for some
Hmm.
things, I know that the what we were talking about, Himi Maya gouache set, I bought it because a lot of people on YouTube used it. And I know for a lot of
Yeah.
my handmade watercolors, I use them because other artists on Instagram use them. Like I know you have a connection with Tiny Cloud Pigments, and you have a connection with Claire, and uh, like we all in this community use a lot of the same art supply makers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm sure that if you are like, oh man, I found this new maker, and they are awesome, like their personality is awesome, and their
Mm-hmm.
paint are amazing, and you should check this out. I'll be like, ooh, I wanna
I
know
want to
this.
try
I
that.
wanna know this. Support this amazing person.
Hashtag influencer.
Yeah, and but that's how it goes. I don't know how. I do think I'm the person that tells everybody to buy Gallo watercolors.
Yeah, that's you. That's
That's
definitely
me.
you. I think I know them because of you.
But probably I'm telling everybody they're great. Go buy them.
Like I,
Unless you have 20 other brands that you don't use, then don't buy them.
it's the same thing with Roman Smalls, right?
Hmm.
Do you own Roman Smalls
I
paints?
actually don't. And I only don't have them because I already have a million and I'm telling myself not to buy them. But there are so
You
many.
are so strong.
There are actually, like in my sketch group in Tilburg that I'm trying to get off the ground, there are like 3 artists and they are all like crazy about Roman Small. So every time in the chat they're like, oh, look at my new Roman Small paints. And I'm like, okay, but look at my Agallo paints. Look. And
I Romans.
they're actually like, we have a sketch meetup tomorrow, and one person is going to bring her new Roman Small travel set, and also their big Roman
Wait,
Small set.
There's a Roman Small travel set.
Yeah, I think she selected it, but she don't buy it. You're googling it right now. I can hear it.
Travel set. I need to Google it. Oh, they do. Oh,
No, hold back. Don't buy the art supplies. You
I
don't.
must. I'm. You know, and the thing about Roman Smalls, and this is the dangerous thing about them, you get a lot of paint
Mm-hmm.
for not that much money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm looking at a tin right now, the travel set. Okay, here we go. You get 12 half pants,
Mm-hmm.
12, with their most, like a basic set, just like mine,
Yeah.
for just €36.
Oh, that's cheap. I'm like frowning because I'm like, oh, they're not charging enough.
Okay, but I don't know if it's maybe the website that is putting it on sale because the original price is €45.
Oh, but that's still like really cheap.
Yeah, but they are. That's one of their beauties is that they're not that expensive.
Mm-hmm. I think they're like Romanian.
Yeah, they're Romanian, And I bought singles, which
Mm-hmm.
I barely do, but I bought their singles so I can um, make a set myself. And I'm telling you, I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at it right now. One of their separating granulating paints, most of the time those are a bit more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Look at DS. They have their whole line of and Schminke. They
Mm-hmm.
have their whole line of granulating and separating paints, but they are heavily expensive.
Yeah.
And I understand that because when I make granulating and separating paints, it's a lot of work because if you have your formula wrong, they don't separate.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of experimenting. I get that they're expensive, but here you get a full pan. I'm just shouting out there. You will get a full pan for just €6.
Yeah.
How?
That's cheap.
That is incredibly cheap, and I think this is why they are so popular because they are cheap, but the quality is beautiful.
Yeah, I've seen like mixing charts and stuff, and people using them, and they look like uh, they are very natural. Like there's a lot
Yeah,
of professional brands, and if you look at the colors, they're very bright and like happy colors, but they're also like not really natural colors. And if you
yeah,
look at Roman Small, they're really natural colors. So if you're doing like landscapes and stuff, it's very easy to get a organic feeling to it.
yeah.
So that's what I like about them. But yeah, I think that if I buy another watercolor set, it's going to be Roman Small, but I don't want to because I need to save
Yeah,
my
I get
money.
that.
And
But that's also a brand that I only knew about because of the people on social media.
mhm.
They're
even
like, look at my social. Oh wow, this Roman smiles everywhere, and I'm like, what? What is it? What? Who are they?
and even if they are cheap and I would have money, I still think I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to use my friend set. I think just
I
going
get
to
that.
like when I go to a sketch meetup, we're just gonna bring our art supplies that we love and we want other people to use, and then we're like, here
Yeah,
you paint today with my Agallo set, and I'll paint today with your Roman Small set.
that's actually a very nice um, activity to do in your group, your paint group,
Mm-hmm.
because it's also how do you say socializing, but also like appreciating other friends their art supplies. I think that is such a cool idea.
And maybe this way we wouldn't have to like buy all the brands out there.
Yeah, but it could also backfire and be like, oh, I love your Argallo paints, Caitlin. I really need to buy them too.
Yeah, the good thing is that Agallo only has like a shop update like every month or two, so you have to be like on time and you can't get them at all times. Which I think the Roman Smalls you can get them at all times.
Yeah, you can get them all the time. It's never sold out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why yes, they are a quote unquote small business. Sometimes I wonder if they are. What do they define as handmade?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, are they mulled by hand? Then I see that as handmade. But I also know that some small paint makers have a mulling machine,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically two cylinders rolling together, like oil paints.
Yeah.
But then like a small one, which is fine. I one day want that thing too, but then I wouldn't call myself a handmade paint maker anymore. I don't know. It's
But
just the act
you're
of
still
handmade.
mixing the pigments yourself. You're still trying out different formulas and
Yeah, but
uh
is it? And that's the question. It's not really a discussion I have with anyone or so, but it's just something I wonder, and I also wonder what other people think. Is what defines the handmade part? For me, the mulling defines the handmade, the mulling and the pouring, of course.
and I think that if you look at pigments, of course, we were talking earlier about the beauty of imperfection. And
Yeah,
if you have a milling machine, I assume you can just put it on for uh, what do you say, like an hour, and you say, oh, I want
Mm.
this pressure, or at least the pressure is even. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
milling something by hand, you're gonna get an uneven milling because you're never going to
Yeah.
apply the same pressure at all times.
No, exactly.
And you're most likely not going to mill everything always the same amount. So you're
No.
just doing a lot by feeling.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I think about, like, ceramics, because of course I'm carving the ceramic watercolor pens right now, and I've done, like, I think I've done 12 or something right now. But if you look at them,
Oh,
I'm
nice.
showing them on um, camera, but that's like 12 to 15 in an almost an hour, and they're a lot of work to carve. But when I'm carving them like this, they're all gonna be slightly different, and when you have them in a little set, you're gonna have, like, all different watercolor pens. And
Yeah.
if I'm making a mold, which I think is fine, a lot of people do like ceramic molds, but that will mean that they will all be like similar. Or at least if I make like a mold with 12 different watercolor pens, I'm gonna have
Mm-hmm.
those 12 pens over and over again.
Do
Um,
you see, if you you know some ceramists who make molds
mhm.
or who use molds? Um, Me, as someone who has no clue how ceramics work,
Yeah.
uh, I would still see it as handmade because um, the mold themselves had to be molded from a handmade piece, right?
Yeah. It's still handmade, but it won't be as unique. If you look at watercolor
That's true.
palettes,
That's true.
I know that somebody, I don't remember the name right now, but they made like pottery for soul. I think I will leave
Oh
a,
yeah, yeah.
I
She
will
does
leave
a
a,
lot for Claire.
yeah, I'll leave a link in
Yeah,
the description or whatever. You can find it. She makes like molds that are like fillable, and those molds
yeah.
are beautiful. But it will mean that every palette that she makes that is fillable with that mold looks the same. Um,
That's true.
and if you're carving palettes yourself, that will mean that every piece looks different. But of course,
That's true.
carving them is so much more work. You'll have to price yourself a lot higher.
Oh, definitely.
And that's maybe a little bit with like the milling machine. If you have to mill things yourself, uh, like your prices are gonna be higher than maybe Roman Small. Maybe Roman Small has a milling machine and they don't have to do
Yeah,
that
I
work.
don't know. I think they do simply because they're always on stock, you know? I
Hmm.
mean, or they have like a whole team of people, but I don't think they do.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just fascinating to me.
And
Like
I know
one day
Agallo
if
has a
I
team. I know Agallo has a team, and they
I
are
want
not
a
even
team.
on. I don't want a team. That sounds horrible.
I want a team. I already have someone in mind that if I ever
Is it
grow
me?
this business, of course it's you. If I ever grow this business bigger, I want to have a ceramicist called Caitlin. That's actually one of the musts. The person name must be Caitlin.
That's very
So
specific. That's gonna be hard to find.
yeah, it's a weird thing. No, but if I'm ever blessed to have this business super successful with more than just paints, because I also want to
Mhm.
expand in selling art supplies. And I recently sold a lot of vintage pigments that I don't use or have a lot of doubles. And it was super successful. So now I'm thinking maybe I should also sell pigments in like small quantities,
Mhm.
because if you buy pigments at Kramer, the minimum quantity you can buy is 100 grams. But if you just want to try some pigments, 100 grams is a lot.
Yeah.
And especially looking at the density of different pigments, if you have 100 grams of Prussian blue, you would have this big of a bag.
Yeah.
Where 100 grams of ochre, you will have a small bag. So I was thinking about that. So if I ever, little inside information, woo, but if I'm ever blessed to be financially more successful in that way, then I definitely want to have like a small team, a shop assistant, a shop dog,
Mm-hmm.
a dog to guard the shop. And you and I have been talking about, having a set of, a permanent set of ceramics that I can fill.
Yeah.
So that is something that, I'm always looking long term. So I really want to do that too.
That sounds great.
And I want the mulling machine.
That would save a lot of work. I want
that
to.
was that would one save a lot of time and work, but it would also be beneficial for any customers because then I won't have to amp up my prices every year because of freaking inflation.
Yeah, that's true.
Inflation is killing everyone, every small business right now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's actually really hard for me to keep going with the stuff I do right now, and I should probably raise my prices a bit, but I know that people don't really buy my pallets anymore if I'm gonna raise my prices any higher. But
that sucks. That sucks so bad.
And also everybody is having a hard time, so everybody's saving money. So handmade pallets is one of the very first things that is like, okay, I don't really need this.
Yeah, hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, I also feel like COVID is over, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But also lockdowns are over. People don't have time for their hobbies anymore. I remember my very first shop update was in the middle of. Was it in the middle of COVID? Yeah, the beginning of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
My first big shop update. And 50 sets, like people were still buying sets of 6. I had 50 sets and they were sold out in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that was like my baseline. And from every color, I made 50 because I had I had the idea that everything will be sold out super quickly. And then COVID was like done and people were going back to work and back to the office. And then I had another recent shop update, not recent, but I had another shop update later after COVID. And sales, they were good. I should not complain, but because I have my very first shop update was like selling 50 sets in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This shop update felt like really
Yeah.
because people don't have time. Inflation sucks. Everything is expensive. The first thing they will save on are their hobbies.
Mm-hmm. Also, people are probably, if they are buying again, they are probably buying more in their local art supply shops again.
As they should. Shop locally.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I actually had like the same. Like my very first shop update was in October 2020. And I sold for like 400 something euros. And then my very last shop update was like last month and I sold for 500 something euros. So that's actually like really similar. But of course, back then I just had a lot less on my web shop and it was sold out in a couple of minutes. And
yeah.
So, and then in December 2021, like we were still in COVID, I think we were in the middle of another lockdown.
Yeah.
And,
around that time,
and it was like around Christmas time. People were doing Christmas shopping.
That was the first Christmas in lockdown.
Yeah, it was 2021, so it was the second Christmas in lockdown.
Oh, it was the second Christmas in lockdown.
But I remember that I had my shop update and I had, in the first hour, I had 53 orders. And in total, in that shop update, I had like 78 orders and I sold like for almost 2,000 euros.
Wow,
and I was like,
that's amazing.
Oh my god, that's insane. Of course, I never have that anymore right now.
No.
But like back then, people were going like, they couldn't do their Christmas shopping in real person because everyone was in lockdown. And
exactly,
like people were going crazy online and maybe those shop updates gave like a wrong expectation.
Exactly, because now if I don't sell out in 10 minutes, which is ridiculous of me to think, but if I don't sell out in 10 minutes, I'm like, doubting myself, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I always try to stop myself, but it's like an impulse feeling because the very first shop update was super successful.
And I do think that
COVID.
it's kind of sad that other small businesses are quitting again. But I think
Yeah.
it's all right for the natural order of things that like if you're not um, super passionate about paint making or super passionate about ceramics, uh, it's all right that people also start to do other things.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not. If you are okay with not making it with your small business, if you've always seen it as a hobby or something on the side or something you do in between losing your job because of COVID, for example,
Mhm.
that is totally fine. It doesn't mean you are a failure or anything.
No, and I also think like I'm an illustrator mostly. Like I really want to do illustration, and the 2 years that I did mostly ceramics were a lot of fun. But I was doing so much ceramics, and I got so many messages of like, "When are you doing another shop update? I'm so mad that I missed out on getting a palette from you." And I felt like I was obligated to just make pallets all day, and I was like doing production and not selling as many ceramics in every shop update anymore actually made me be like, okay, I'm not selling as much anymore. Maybe I should just like draw more. Maybe I should just like focus more on the things
What
I
you want to
really
do.
want to do. And
Yeah.
I still make ceramics and I still make some money with my ceramics, but it's more like I'm more focused on uh, focusing on myself instead of like.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had it, I know we are quite long in the podcast and we should probably close it off, but I had this like really double feeling of like people buying 6 pallets while they already bought 6 pallets from me the update before, and I'm like, I know you don't need 12 pallets. I know you don't need this.
I'm sorry I did that, but I really like your aesthetics.
That's okay. And you are by far not the person who bought the most of my pallets. I have people that have, and
I'm not.
and I know people like to give them away to friends, to artist friends as gifts, so that's okay. But I know people that have been buying multiple pallets from me in every shop update I've had so far. So
You know what it also is? I've seen this thing on Instagram Reels lately.
mhm,
It's where people are showing their ceramic palettes
mhm.
and they have um I don't know if you can see, but I have my paper stored in like this IKEA wooden plate
Mhm.
holder. It's like a wooden frame with sticks popping out. And I've seen people storing their ceramics in there, and they don't wash their ceramic because they will use
Oh yeah.
every paint. So every ceramic palette is like gorgeous and beautifully and stained, and it has paint on it. It has watercolors. So they have like 10 of these beautiful, gorgeous handmade ceramics. And of course, every time they have new paint and they don't wash their palettes,
Mhm.
they will need a new palette.
I guess.
I guess that's the thing. I think. I don't know.
I
That's the only reason I can think of that you need 12 ceramic palettes.
I mean, I kinda do that, but then after a while, I just washed all of them, and I actually sold some of my used pallets because I felt like I had too many in use.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I also have. I'm looking at one of your palettes right now. I've got a little moon palette right there, which is full with like experimental paint
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't wash off. And back there, I've got a big moon ceramic thing on my other ceramic dish, and I think I've got like 3 in one of these trays here.
Yeah, it
And
adds
then
up.
I have 2 of your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your ceramic cups sitting right there.
That you own that many ceramic cups for me?
Yeah, I got two pink ones, one brown one, and a creamy speckled one.
That's actually a lot. I didn't know you had that many.
Yeah, and I am proud. I think I was one of the first.
Maybe you
Yeah, I
you do
remember.
own the most ceramic cups of me.
Yes, finally. I think I remember asking you if you would ever do pink ceramic cups. And then I remember you telling me that you have one, but it's like there's some errors in it,
Hmm.
or it wasn't at your liking. And I'm like, can I have it? Can I have it? And then I think you just send me that one.
Yeah,
It's
I think so
beautiful.
too.
It's beautiful.
I think I was like, I don't want to ask money for this. Here, you can have it. I'm not using it anyways.
I remember there was something with the glaze. It's like you were like, oh, it's a bit rough on the inside. I'm like, I don't care. I want it. They're gorgeous. I love them.
Thank you so much. All right, I think we've talked quite a lot for this podcast. Can you show on the screen what you've painted? Like, is it possible to lift it up and show?
Sure. Ta-da! I didn't come very far.
That's okay. But you get a little sneak peek for like the beautiful set that Izzy is making. And if you, after us talking about hoarding art supplies, want some more art supplies, Izzy will be selling those in her web shop.
You know what's actually funny? A little side story. I know we are over time, but you can just, if you don't want it in it, you don't have to put it in. But I was last week I was tagged in a picture of someone who was showing all the paints they have bought from me.
Mm-hmm.
My first instinct was, who is this person? I don't know this person. But I saw all my birds and my regular ponds and even my pants from back in the day when I was just making shimmers. I'm like, oh my god, they literally have every single color I've ever made, and I don't know this person. I think if I would, and that's the thing about social media, a lot of my customers don't have their actual name on their Instagram,
Yeah.
which is fine, keep it private. But it's very hard for me to figure out, who are you? Because if you have that much,
yeah, then you should be like a regular customer.
Like, I want to give you something as a thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's yeah. But if you're feeling you're missing out, if you have a little FOMO of my paints, yeah, just we are all hoarders.
Yeah, you could buy Roman small after this. You could.
You could, but you could also just save a little money and buy my paints.
I heard Roman small is very cheap and beautiful, but also Izzy is a very nice person. And maybe you have a personal connection to Izzy right now.
A true hoarder will buy them both.
I'm sad that we're promoting hoarding right now. I've been saying a couple of times in the podcast, hoarding is bad. Use your watercolors, don't buy more stuff. But you should make an exception for Izzy's watercolors.
I have this friend, and every time I send her something I want, I'm like, I want this, but I should not spend any more company money on this. And then she's like, buy it! Just buy it!
I'm also gonna show what I'm working on right now.
Yes, show us. I saw little stars.
Yeah, it's just little stars. I made mostly stars. Every time I have stars, they all sell out. And more people want stars. So, did I damage this one? Well, trying to show it, maybe. Okay, so this is all the stars I have.
Holy shit, you made a lot.
It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. I have one more. 12. I have 12.
That's nice.
And
that's perfect.
I'm going to try to make... because I need to rent the entire kiln, and it's probably gonna take like a long time for me before I'm going to rent another kiln. I'm gonna try to make 100. Not tonight, but like in total for my shop.
I'm like, whoa, tonight.
I'm just gonna continue like all the... No, I'm gonna try to make 100 stars, and then probably 100 of another design, maybe just round or whatever. And then I have like a couple of them for next shop update, and then I have some in the bag for like the next shop update after. Maybe with Christmas I can have like more stars in my update or something. So yeah, that's the plan.
I love it. I also think that if you are blessed in like 10 years to be a super successful illustrator with
Or
your
like in
with your
3 years,
own
that's also, or two, like, or tomorrow.
2, 3, tomorrow, if you are blessed to be that, and you have, I hope if you still are making ceramics or you have people to make ceramics for you, I hope you have your own kiln.
I hope so too. I hope I have a house that I can place a kiln in.
Yeah, right? I mean, I know you have them in different sizes, so
Yeah.
I hope you have one.
Yeah, unfortunately, the place I live in right now is not safe enough for a kiln, but I hope in the future I can have a little small kiln, so I don't have to rent a 200-liter kiln every time I want to make ceramics.
That's a lot, and you
Yeah,
have to rent the whole kiln.
yeah.
Jeez.
Well, you can also rent like, no, you can't rent half of the kiln. You can just like bring your stuff and then they weigh it, but you are like triple the price if you weigh it per kilograms instead of renting the
Yeah, I
kiln.
understand.
Yeah.
Especially with the energy prices right now, they want to be as efficient as possible.
Yeah. All right, I think we're gonna stop this podcast because we can talk forever, but we probably should I don't know, record another podcast or something. If you
Or sleep.
or sleep, that's also, or cuddle the dog.
Yeah.
If you also painted or crocheted or did something else, did ceramics, please let us know. We'd love to hear. You
I
can
also hoard crochet wool.
yes, if you
I
were,
hoard those too.
by the way, if you were spinning more crochet wool right now, you can also just pop your Instagram. I don't think you can pop your link, but you can place your Instagram
Pop your
tag
handle. Just
in the description
pop it.
and we will check it out. We would love to see what you were doing.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening. And
I had so much fun.
it was a lot of fun again.
Thank
we could
you.
talk a lot about the subject actually. We can talk a lot about this. We haven't
I
even
love it.
started. We can like go on further.
Okay, guys.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye bye.